always two. There are a master and an apprentice. For which one did we end up fighting? The master or the apprentice? We'll find out on Tambay TV. Tambay, 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 Tambay. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Tambay TV. I am your host once again, Pael Fajardo. And just so you guys know, we have crossed the 1-year mark. And on this first year of ours, we have two special guests. The first one was our first guest ever, Jedi Master Elrik Jundis. Say hi! What's up, my man?
Hi guys,
Welcome back.
magandang gabi, but I don't know what time it is for you.
Depends on what time. And of course, our lady of the hour, Miss Ardees. Hello. Welcome to the show.
Mabuhay.
Ayan. Just so you guys know, I am hanging out with two Jedis who were in... I know Elrik was in episode 2. Ardees, you were...
In episode 2.
And in the same scene?
And yes, and I was a beverage.
What? How did that... Please explain. Expound on that.
In the original script of Star Wars, and if you look in any of the books of the script, when they're in Dexter's Diner, Obi-Wan asks for a cup of Ardees. But it got changed last minute to a cup of Jawa juice. But they had to build a whole backstory that there's an Ardees beverage in the Star Wars universe, and it's named after me.
At least she has a name. Elrik, you had 4 names. You had 4 names.
Well, I played for Jedi Padawans, but I have no names.
To those who want to know more about that backstory, our first ever, bro. Thank you so much, by the way, for. It's been a year. Can you imagine?
It's really nice to be supporting your show, and it's like
Yeah, thanks for being
for the geeks out there like us.
Yep,
we're all geeks.
And it's called The Jedi Among Us. That was the title of that. So, Artie, walk us through how this is a geek podcast, and my opening salvo of questioning always begins with, bring us back to the first time you remember, like your geek awakening, your geek epiphany, like you're into like action stuff or comic stuff, whatever it was.
It would have to be the first time I saw Star Wars.
You grew up in the States?
I grew up in the States.
Okay.
I had actually not seen Star Wars in
Which
the
part
theater.
of the States, if you don't mind?
California. San Francisco.
Oh,
Near
California.
San Francisco. I'm a Bay Area girl. Lived all over the Bay Area.
Hella Bay Area.
Yeah.
Represent.
Because my dad was stationed at Treasure Island. He was in the U.S. Navy. So when I was 1, we moved to Bay Area. But I was actually born on Subic Base, Naval Base.
Oh, here in the Philippines?
Yeah, in Olongapo.
Nice, okay.
Yeah, but then my dad was stationed to Treasure Island, so he positioned my mom and I to.
So how old were you when you moved to the States?
I was 1.
Well, I was just born here and then shipped out.
Yeah.
Okay.
Which is why I don't speak Tagalog. But I understand it completely.
Kunwari, wala kang kasama and then you want to get somewhere here. You can talk. What do you tell the driver? Or
Oh no, I actually speak to them in English. But with my friends at
home,
we'll joke around because your parents are like, Ardees, get the kwan. I'm like, and I'll be smart ass to my parents and say, which kwan? The chair, the table, the couch?
The kwan or the kwan?
I know also when I'm in trouble, I can recognize the words in Tagalog. Or Ilocano. I actually know that too.
Yeah, so bring us to the journey from moving to the States and becoming Rick McCallum's assistant.
Well, here's a funny backstory. So, the first time I saw Star Wars was actually...
For those who don't know, Rick McCallum is...
the producer of the Star Wars movies.
Yes.
He also was famous for being the producer of the Young Indiana Jones TV series. And that's where, for producers, what he did with that was the first time a TV show was was it? How many countries did he shoot that in?
Over 40 countries, I think.
40 countries.
Wow,
Never done before.
That's a movie budget. Oh,
yes.
More? Because it's like a season, right?
Well, he was able to keep it in budget. That's why Rick is a pretty amazing producer.
Nice.
Yeah, so she mentored under a real producer master.
So let me take you on a backstory of my Star Wars. When I first saw Star Wars, it was actually on TV, on VHS. Because my parents didn't take me to see it in the theater because I didn't like movies as a little kid because I was scared.
When you say your first time, we're talking about New Hope.
A New Hope.
New Hope, okay.
Which back then it was just called Star Wars.
Yeah.
And I saw it and I was blown away. Like I was just like, oh my god, what? That's a whole new world for me. I got so into it that I had to read every book that was written about it. So I read Star Wars, Empire Strikes Back, Return of the Jedi, and even some of the side books like Splinter of the Mind's Eye.
Yeah.
You know, and I got into this whole thing where I would want to read books about a movie before they even came out. So I read Back to the Future before it came out, Return to Oz before it came out. Anyway, so that's kind of my geek
So
thing.
you were a library head.
Yes, that and
not
also
that the kids understand that nowadays. Library, the concept of a library.
I would library, or I always would read at the bookstore. And I was a tomboy too, so I used to play Dungeons and Dragons. I was like the only girl. The boys would let me part of the group because.
Growing up, did you grow up with? I'm guessing you grew up with brothers.
No, I'm the oldest.
What?
Yeah, I'm the oldest in the family, and my brother wasn't born until 10.5 years later.
Oh, so there's just two of you.
Yeah, just
so
two
you're
of
just
us.
into that naturally.
Yeah, and also, but I had a lot of first cousins and cousins, so like I was totally into Transformers, G.I. Joe, when most girls weren't. They were into like Strawberry Shortcake, and I loved the cool stuff. Right?
My Little Pony, was that the same thing?
Yeah, or Rainbow Bright or Smurfs. So anyway, so fast forward like freshman year of high school, my cousin says, hey, I got advance tickets to see Major League at the Kabuki Theater in San Francisco. Do you want to come? And I was like, sure. So we walk into the Kabuki and we're going through the aisles, and I'm like elbowing her, and she's like, what? And I'm like, isn't that George Lucas right there? She just like looks over.
This is circa, if you don't mind that.
This was in 1988 or 89.
88, okay.
And I was like, isn't that George Lucas? And she's like, yeah, whatever, shut up. So we sit down, because like, who would recognize the director back then? Most people didn't. But
George Lucas, you wouldn't recognize him.
I don't know.
Back then.
Back then.
It's a bad guy.
Well,
right?
we would have known.
Most people wouldn't think most women or girls would have, right? At that age, I was 14. So then we sit down in the theater. This guy comes out and says, hi everyone, I know you guys were looking forward to seeing Major League with Charlie Sheen, but one of the reels rolled off the truck and off the Golden Gate Bridge into the bay.
What?
That's the story he gave us. He goes, but we have this new movie. It's not quite finished. It still needs color correction and the end credits, but we wanted to see what you guys think. And so then the lights go down, and sure enough, it's Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade.
Ooh.
We were the first test audience.
No way.
To see it. And so, I'm like...
It was a surprise.
It was a surprise screening. And that really was George Lucas.
What was being advertised, though? What was being advertised? Is what
Major League.
Major League, as in the
movie Major League with Charlie Sheen.
There you go. With the machine, I was about to say.
So then after the movie ended, I turned to my cousin and go, see, that was George Lucas.
So did he speak? Was he the one?
No, he didn't. They gave us a card and asked our opinion on the film, and I was just, oh my god, I love Sean Connery as his father. It was great. I loved it.
It was out of the three, I would say, four, not counting Crystal Skull. Yeah. It's one of my favorites, actually. How about you, Albert? If you were to pick one. Don't tell me Crystal Skull.
No. I mean, Indiana Jones was a special, in the Temple of Doom was a special experience. Not the Temple of Doom, I'm sorry. Raiders of the Lost Ark. That was just a special experience. And that set such high standards for me. Everything else was a little bit hard.
So
really? Even Last Crusade was crazy.
So imagine, I was 14 at the time when that happened. I wouldn't know that, maybe 8 years later that I would end up working for him.
And how does that happen?
Okay, so
if we don't mind cutting to that chase.
Sure. You know, when you're growing up in America and your parents, like, you know, they push school totally. I was completely type A, straight A's. You know, when they
most
say
girls are.
You know, when they say in a
dudes.
show like an A
Not some of the ones
minus
I
is the Asian F, that really was true to me. You know,
What was
like,
that? Was that?
when in most, you know, like there's a show like Glee mentioned like that an A minus is the Asian F. like seriously, like my parents, my dad would be like, "Why didn't you get 100? I got a 99."
Oh,
you know,
no.
and I'd have to go back and argue like that wasn't wrong. It should have been 100. Like he would make me go back to my teachers to fix my grade. So anyway, totally grew up in that whole type A. So in our family, you were either gonna be a lawyer, or a doctor, right, or a business person.
Yeah.
And I was like, Mom, you can give up on the doctor thing because I don't like blood. And maybe I'm going to be a lawyer. So I went to UC Berkeley. Yay, go Bears! And I didn't know what I wanted to do. Around the time I graduated, everyone was going into consulting. Like everyone. Like
Sorry, you were taking up.
I actually studied political economy of industrial societies, which is a major that only UC Berkeley has.
Okay, just a side note for the kids who are appreciating this renaissance of, because nowadays they have courses like, I was so surprised because I'm cut from basically the same cloth of, you know, you have to be either you have to have a profession, so to speak, or like a vocation, whatever they call it. Like, it's either you're a businessman, a lawyer,
or a doctor, or a nurse, or
engineer. Or architect was on the brink of, because at the time I knew I loved art from the beginning, but I ended up taking up business management, entrepreneurial management specifically. So, layo. Nowadays, they're lucky. They have courses like video game design. Like, dang, dito sa Pilipinas, diba? I would have thought that.
Right?
So,
and so for me too, I've always loved movies. I've always loved
and you knew
music.
this growing up.
I always loved music. I loved movies, but I never actually thought of it as a career because you didn't see anybody who looked like us. Yeah. In the industry, right? So.
Plus, you didn't know what the career path was. Where do you start? How do you?
There was not. Yeah,
there was none.
There was nothing, right? And so, I went to UC Berkeley. I was heavily involved in all the Filipino clubs on campus from freshman year to senior year. So my freshman year, I met a senior, and we kept in touch. And we were active in this one group called PAS, which is Filipino Academic Student Services, right?
Okay.
And so
that memory.
So you
remember? There was a lot of good times now.
Okay.
I didn't go there, but I hung out there for like a decade. But that's another story.
So my senior year, we celebrated PAS's 10-year anniversary. So that senior I knew, who was 4 years older than me, came back to the banquet. During that time, my cousin also went to Cal with me. And she mentioned to him that I was looking for work. And
wait, this first freshman college?
No.
She's a senior now.
I'm a senior,
but
because by my senior year, it was our 10-year anniversary of that club.
Okay.
So my friend, who was a senior when I was a freshman, came back to campus to celebrate it. And so my cousin bumped into him and said I was looking for work. Well, he was in HR at Lucasfilm.
Ding 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 ding.
Right?
That's where.
So after graduation, I did what most kids we did. Is like me, my cousin, and our best friend.
Go on a long vacation.
Yes, we went to Florida to go to Disney World, and we also went to the Bahamas on a cruise. So I was gone for a week, and then I came back and I saw these messages from June Cruzette.
When you say messages.
Like on a voice, like an answering machine.
See, okay.
Because we didn't have cell phones back then.
Please explain to our millennials what an answering machine is. Because nowadays I find it funny that landline?
Yeah, like there was a landline.
A phone with a knob?
And someone would leave a message on it, but you couldn't check it till you actually were home.
Get home, right?
So when I got home, I saw these messages from June that he was trying to get a hold of me. I called, "Hey June, are you trying to get a hold of me?" Because yes, there's a position here at
June is also Filipino.
Yes, he's also Filipino.
Such a Filipino name.
Yeah. Jun Cruzat.
Yeah, well, his real name is Eleuterio Cruzat Jr. That's what he goes by.
Okay. You know this guy. You know this cat too.
Yeah.
He's good people.
Yeah.
How do you know him?
Because he recruited me.
We're gonna get there. We're gonna get there. Okay. Nice.
So, so he said, hey, there's a really great opening for you at Lucasfilm. Do you want to come in and interview? At this point, I had just graduated. Everyone's bugging me, like, what are you doing? I was like, yes. And I didn't even ask him what the job was. I was like, yes. And then he's like, can you come in tomorrow at Skywalker Ranch for this interview? So I'm like, sure. Skywalker Ranch. So picture this. It is end of May, early June, and we're having a heat wave. And it's like 90 degrees and up. I show up at Skywalker Ranch in a black power suit.
Ooh.
Okay?
And there's no aircon there, guys.
Yeah. So
I'm gonna look up to
in
see
the
what
Bay
90
Area, there's
degrees
no
Fahrenheit
aircon
is
because
in
it never gets hot. So
there's no aircon in Lucas.
None. We don't think about that in the States for some reason. I don't know, or at least in Northern California.
Yeah.
I never saw aircon.
Anyway, so I show up
So
at
in
the
Lucasfilm,
ranch.
there's no aircon. That's pretty bothersome, man. What if it gets hot inside? Everyone's like sweaty. So in your power suit.
So I'm in my power suit. I go meet June.
3-piece where you wear
like black blazer,
like,
black skirt, white shirt. I mean, you know, and I'm hot. And I'm walking around the ranch going, first of all, this place looks unreal. And second, everyone's walking around.
Did it have the Yoda fountain back in the day?
No, that's a different ranch.
Oh, that's a different ranch.
Yeah.
Ooh, okay.
So at Skywalker, it looks like a ranch. You know, mansions all over. Anyway, so I'm walking around to get to where I'm supposed to meet June. People are walking around in shorts, jeans, t-shirts. Everyone is smiling. I'm like, wow, this
I'm
is
home.
strange. You know, like,
It's
everyone
30
looks
degrees Celsius,
happy.
32 degrees Celsius that day.
Yes,
Or
that's how
90.
hot it is. So,
In a black power
so
suit.
I go in and June.
Humid. But it's
I
not
go-
humid though.
So I'm asking June, what is this position? He goes, well, they're looking for accounting assistant in production.
Okay.
And I was like, oh, okay. Never took accounting, but I can add and subtract, so and multiply and divide. Anyway, so
But this is graduating from what degree again? I'm sorry.
political economy.
Political economy, and then now we're
Industrial
went to
societies.
accounting.
Accounting, right? But I had done some accounting temp jobs. So what he didn't warn me was that for the next 3 hours, I was going to be in interviews.
Wow.
Yeah, so I interviewed.
Finish you in a day.
Yeah, so I interviewed with him for an hour. Then I interviewed with Wendy Arnold, who back then was Wendy Foreman, and she was the production accountant. And then my last and final interview was with Catherine. Back then she was Catherine Farah, and she actually married a Filipino, so now her name's Catherine Ramos. And that
She's
was
American. She was
British.
British.
And
Okay.
she actually was the production controller for George. So that means she handled all the money for all his projects.
And that's George Lucas.
Yeah. Yes,
So
George.
imagine. Yes. My
So
question:
I interviewed
how
with-
much percent Filipino was the?
Was the ranch?
Yeah, it was a ranch.
I
You
knew
think?
June and this other woman, Maria Frianeza Narios. That was it.
Just like three of you.
What about the kitchen staff?
They weren't there yet when I
Oh,
started.
okay.
And I'm sure there was some at
Pala-
ILM, but at Skywalker Ranch itself, I knew two when I first started. But we grew it, don't worry. So I'm sitting across this British woman, we're talking. She loved the fact that I went to UC Berkeley because her boyfriend, who's Filipino, and now her husband, actually went to Cal. And also June went to Berkeley,
There's
and
the
she
affinity.
loved June. And she goes, I know you've never taken accounting, but I can teach you everything. And I was like, yeah, I'm a quick learner. So Catherine actually called me the very next day and said, if you want the job, it's
Wait,
yours.
who interviewed? Three interviews. Nothing from the man. Nothing. from,
Not yet.
Not yet. Okay.
So Catherine said, we've never had anyone in your position, but if you want the job, it's yours. I found out the very next day, right? And she's like, can you start Monday? This is literally 2 weeks since I've graduated from Berkeley. And I was like, actually,
But you got to go to those beaches and all that in those two. But that's a small break. That's a small break.
And
on
so I was actually finishing up my job at the University of Berkeley. I was working actually for Environmental Health and Safety Department. So I said, can I start Tuesday? And she goes, yeah, that's fine. So I started my career and my time at Skywalker on June 4th, 1996.
Wow, that's my brother's birthday. Shout out to my bro, Gabe, June 4th.
Yeah, and then I was physically on the ranch for 19 years.
Wow.
16 and a half years with George, Lucas, and Rick McCallum, and then 3 years with Brad Bird working on Tomorrowland.
Nice.
Yes.
And of those years, yay, clap.
If you want to know, so my very first day of work.
We have a crowd there.
Yeah. My very first day of work on June 4th, 1996, I meet Rick McCallum for the first time. And we have a patio on the second floor, because I worked on the second floor of the main house, where we can have lunch. So I was literally like next to him, his two assistants, my new boss, and we were having lunch on the patio. And I had actually no idea who he was. I knew he was the producer and our overall boss, but I didn't really understand that it was such a big deal. Like, I didn't understand.
Maybe back then, because what has he done at that point in time?
He had done Young Indiana Jones.
That one. He's done that one.
Yeah.
And Pennies from Heaven.
And he had, his first big movie as
Pennies from Heaven.
He had
Who
done
said that?
Pennies from Heaven.
What's that comedian? I love that guy.
Steve Martin.
Steve
you.
Martin.
Yeah.
And Christopher Walken was in that too.
Yeah.
So that was Rick's first film that he executive produced. But if you actually go back before, when I first arrived at the ranch on June 4th, I had to go through HR and they had to tell me all the rules. So
what were the scariest? Give us some of the ground rules.
Yeah, I'll give you the ground rules.
No touching R2D2.
Well, some of the ground rules they give is like the main house is where George's offices are, and it's on the second floor. So the rest of the company is limited to the main ground floor. No one's allowed on the second floor. No one's allowed on the third.
What's on the second floor?
That's where George's office and production is.
Okay.
And no one's allowed on the third floor because at the time no one knew, but we were working on episode 1, and that was our art department.
This is
1996. And then in the basement is editorial, so no one was allowed there either. So they're giving me all these
there
rules,
are off
right?
Limits. It's like
and they
CIA.
also said, George is a very busy man. Like if you see him, like just ignore him.
Why?
Because everyone just didn't want to bother him. You're like not supposed to bother him.
When do you see him around? Did you get to meet him though? Okay.
That's
all right.
So then HR after they tell me
feel like?
HR after they tell me all these rules, they call my first boss, Catherine, and they said, "Hey, we went through everything with Ardees. Where do you want her?" And they're like, "Bring her to the office on the second floor." And they were like, "Oh, okay, scratch everything we just told you, because that means you're allowed on the second floor, you're allowed on the third floor, and you're allowed in the basement." So I go and see my new office.
Wait, what happened? Why all of a sudden you
because I'm in production. I'm in Rick's department. And my office is on the second floor. So they're like, "Oh, scratch everything we just told you." So then I get there. So my first desk I shared with my new boss, Catherine, and my desk was situated that I would see everyone who came up the main stairs. Everyone. And so then I had to meet George's office. He had longtime assistants who had been with him forever. And his main one was Jane Day, who I absolutely love and adore. But she was scary back then, right? It's his executive assistant. And she even came to me, she's like, "Ardees, you're our first line of defense. If you don't recognize someone coming up that stairs, you need to detain them and call security."
Did they give you a shotgun under your chair? What's your name?
I always had to ask, like, "Do you have business here?" And then, so my first days, I would see George coming up the stairs, and in my head, I was like, he's probably wondering, who's that little girl?
There's a new girl sitting by the elevator.
And remember, I was told, like, to ignore him. So I went out
Told to ignore?
So my first week,
odd rule.
I went to get the mail, and he was coming the other way, and he said, "Hi!" And I was like, "Oh, hi!" I can't not say hi to him. He said hi to me.
I thought you just turned a blind eye and walked the other way,
I said hi back, and then I walked away, and I was like, oh my god! Hi to me! I was like, be cool.
And then the boss comes to you, you're fired. You said hi back.
No, it was fine. And then over time, they got used to seeing me around. And then I remember one time, I don't even know.
Wait, so your first job was an assistant automatically to Rick?
No, my first job for my first 2 years was assistant to the production controller. So I actually,
this is why you're on the second floor.
Yeah, so my first actual real project was we were releasing the special editions for Star Wars.
So the redigitalization
for
the folks
and we were restoring a lot of the stuff, so we were doing a lot of stuff to restore the negative at the lab. So I had to track all the lab costs and everything. On top of that, I had to actually start our UK our accounting for episode 1 because we didn't open our offices in London yet. So
because
my
this
first
was 96, wala pa.
Yeah, so my first boss taught me payroll, payables, receivables, and also to do all the pay slips. So I had to learn about that and paying out everyone.
So for the listeners, the financial controller, they're the ones who make sure they're in charge of every single penny, peso, or pound spent on the movie.
And it's George's money. It's a privately held company. He owns it all. So we were handling George's money, so we had to be very careful with it. And when I first started working with her, they had never had me or anyone in that position. She had no files. Literally because they were so busy.
See, this is where the Filipino upbringing is kicking into. Oh my God! It's so your OCness. I'm sure it's kicking into
Filipina handling all the money for George Lucas. It's been said. It's true.
So it was crazy because we were working on all of the special editions. We were ramping up and doing episode 1. We were also finishing up the Young Indiana Jones Chronicles, and we were working on Live and Learn, which is the Left documentary that Robin Williams was the host.
Ooh,
so
what's this?
Live and Learn.
What's that?
It was George Lucas's Educational Foundation's documentary.
Okay.
And it was to show how innovative schools were being with technology back then, right?
Yeah.
So we were managing all these projects, and before she had me, she had nobody, so she was just like throwing everything behind her, right? And so she went on vacation, and I looked around, I was like, I'm gonna organize this. So I had to figure out which paper was to which project, and I organized that whole system. So I literally read every single piece of paper that was there. So I knew where to put it.
What were these pieces of paper? Scripts or financial stuff?
Everything that was coming across her desk. So I organized her whole filing system, and I remember one time, once she had it all, we could find everything, right? And Rick came in and was looking for a paper from a lawyer or something, and I said, oh, I know where that is. And I walked over to the filing cabinet, opened the file, and I pulled it out, and he looked at my boss, and he's like, she's faster than a computer. And so, he started to see, how really, organized and good
you were Pentium before Pentium was Pentium.
Yeah, really, yeah. And back then, I was manually writing the checks.
Wow.
We didn't even have a system to print the checks. I was writing everyone's checks. I was writing all the...
Yes, it actually happened that way.
Back in the day, people wrote shit down.
And also, all the pay slips, it wasn't a way to feed the pay slips into the computer. So I had a typewriter underneath my desk. And you would hear me typing underneath my desk, but people would walk by and go,
what's that sound?
They would hear typing, but they wouldn't see anybody because I was literally typing it under my desk. And then they come around and they're like, oh my God, So that was my early years at Lucasfilm. And then when I really, Rick really started to pay attention to me was he came in one day with 4 large shopping bags, the kind from Macy's. And he's
That'd be like Rastan's over here, folks.
And he said, sorry, honey. And I was like, what's that? he hadn't done his reimbursement for 10 years.
Whoa!
That was
so. Those were receipts.
Those were receipts.
Oh my god!
At least he kept most of all of them, if not all, most of them.
So I literally had to look at every receipt, put it in date order, and figure out which project it went to. And this was before I even worked with them.
Or there were computers, but
yeah, I think if I had a question,
not as high-tech
if I had a question, I would ask my boss at the time, like, was it Star Wars? Is it Young Indie? She helped me. So then I put it all on spreadsheets. It took me a week. but it got
That's
him.
pretty fast.
But it got him like he was so happy because he got reimbursed for all of this stuff.
we got a producer in the background. Lou, I'm sorry, I forgot your last name, but she's like clapping. She's so impressed with that level of organization.
Doing that job is really tedious. And the crazy, numbers and production work doesn't really come together.
Yeah.
This is one hell of a woman.
Those are two distinctly different.
So
unique skill sets,
which only a woman great to understand. Dudes will be like, just keep it in receipts.
That after,
I'm sure some dudes can do it.
I think after my first year, I was finally gonna take my first vacation, and because I had done that, I got a bonus.
Wait, I'm curious. So if you were during the time,
yeah.
Sorry if I might just ask. I remember episode when you guys were preparing episode 1. There was a leak that happened.
Okay, let me go back to that.
Okay, right?
Okay, so
that was like hell.
For my first 2 years, I was with Catherine doing all the production stuff, right?
All the financials.
All the financial side. She was already teaching me how to do cost reports and everything. I was loving it. At the time, Rick had 2 assistants when I started. The first one left when we were shooting episode 1 because her father was ill, and she decided to stay in London. She was British. To be with her father. So his second moved up to his first, right? And then after 2 years of working there, she wanted to be more on set, like at ADE. So before, when she told me, she pulled,
ADE is
like, assistant director. So she pulled me aside and said, "Hey, I'm leaving, and Rick really wants you to move over to his office, right?" And I was like, "Oh, interesting, right?" And then my first boss, Catherine, pulled me into her office and said, as you know, Janet's leaving, and Rick really wants you to move into his office. And she goes, try it. If you don't like it, you can still do your old job. Or if you like it, you can move on into the producer's office.
Also, you just got to add, Janet is in the Coruscant scene in the redigitalization of Return of the Jedi.
Yeah.
So, in the celebration scene.
Yes. So then
the end part.
Yep.
End part. And then she told me, and Rick actually mentioned to me that he doesn't think he could ever yell at you.
Why?
Because he was notorious for yelling at everyone, including his assistants, and for making people cry. Sorry, Rick, I'm just, I love you. And so I was like, oh, that's nice to know, right? Like I had that in the back of my head. Like,
yeah, but why couldn't he get to yell at you?
Because to him, I was this shy, quiet, timid girl. Little did he know. But I can tell you, after 16 and a half years of working with him, he did not yell at me once.
Wow.
I may have yelled at him, but he did not ever yell at me, and I love him.
Give us one funny, before we get back into the Star Wars a bit. Give us one funny Rick story.
Oh my God, there's so
many.
The
yelling one, like a specific time.
Oh, you know what?
How tall
I
is
don't know
Rick?
if I want to give this away. He's pretty tall. Like if he stands up straight, he's actually 6 feet tall.
6 foot tall.
Yeah.
And Ardees is what?
I'm 5 feet, almost 5.
She's almost 5, so get the size difference.
So imagine scolding Rick in his face.
Oh my God, he made me laugh all the time. I can't.
Well, screaming first. Tell us the screaming story. I want to imagine it.
Well, see, the thing people don't really get about him, but I always appreciate it. He never yelled unless it was warranted. You know, with him, if you were just straight with him and told him, like, if you forgot to do something or that it was your fault, you know, like, he never got mad at you if you owned up to your mistakes. What drove him crazy were people who would either blame other people, deny it was their fault, or completely, like, you know, hide what they did, or, like, didn't do their job. That's the thing that drove him crazy. If you weren't doing your job, you know, he would fly off the handle.
So how did you end up screaming at him?
Because a lot of times he's in his office and I'm in the office next to us, and you know, we're trying to talk, but you know, it's hard to hear.
Scream, like speaking loudly, not yelling at him.
But I think one time, and he knows this. He knows that
This is what I want
one
to
of
hear.
the thing is I have a near photographic memory. So when I first
don't you thank your A+ family?
Yes, I do.
For that.
So when I first started working with him, this is my procedure with him. I made a copy for our files and anything we received, right? I made a copy for our files. I made a copy for our binder. I made a copy for him, and I made another copy because he would lose the one I just gave him. Like, I always had 4 copies of everything.
Nice.
So we would never lose, you know. I always had ways to back up everything. So one time, this was like way later in our relationship, he was insisting that I had deposited a huge sum of money into his account, right? Because I had access to his accounts. Anyway, and I said, no, I didn't. And he goes, no, honey, you did. And I was like, Rick, I'm looking through all my files. I don't have the deposit slip. I don't remember doing that transaction. And I goes, because believe me, I'll remember it. He goes, no. He's like insisting that. I was like, you know me, I don't forget anything. So then he happens to be on the phone with his wife, and the wife was like, no, she wouldn't know it because it was a wire transfer. And I was like, see, I told you I didn't do that deposit. And he's like, oh, I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I told you, like, you should never question my memory.
So
and he learned.
Going back to that leak, how crazy was the office during those? So those who don't know, there was a time in '99.
We had a leak in all of them, which kind of sad.
Really?
Yeah, we did.
In all of them?
Yeah.
I did not know that. Talk about the episode 1 first, because that was one of the
beginning of the rebirth.
I don't know if I can, because it was like this really crazy thing, but it really was from someone we didn't expect. All I remember is that once we found out who it was, that Rick called me and was like, honey, do we have any alcohol here? And I was like, looking through our stuff, I go, yes. And I think we all took shots of whiskey.
Was the office on lockdown? Was it on lockdown? Like,
yeah. I mean, that's, you know, one of the things in production, that's why it's such a business of who you know. That, you know, you really try to find good people you can trust. You know, and episode 1, I started working with him solely in November '98. Like, I was literally thrown into this, and the movie came out May '99. Like, it was crazy for me. I couldn't file anything. I was like throwing things behind me too, because like our phones were ringing off the hook. I'm trying to learn this new job, and I remember after when he went on his press tour, and actually
would you come with him to the press tour?
They flew me to London for the first time, so I could attend the cast and crew screening and the screening for Prince Charles. And it was my first time in London, and I finally got to meet.
Wait, Prince Charles got to see it first?
Yeah, we had it at Leicester Square.
Nice.
And
it opened in May. So
yeah, we had a huge party. I actually I met a bunch of, you know, our cast. Of course, I knew them, but also like in our party, I got to take a picture with Boy George. I saw Brian May.
Screw Boy George. How was the cast? Out of the Star Wars cast, who was the coolest one?
In terms of coolness factor, Sam Jackson's pretty damn cool.
Yeah, straight, my boy.
Badass motherfucker. He is exactly like how he is.
Sam Jack doing Sam Jack things, man.
Like during episode 2, we ended up doing our press junket at the ranch, and it was during the NBA playoffs, and I'm a huge Los Angeles Lakers fan.
Yeah.
And so Like my friends and I are trying to find where we could watch it on the ranch while we were doing the press junket. So it was actually in the inn where everyone was staying, like our cast and press was staying. So I was watching it, and Sam Jackson comes down, and he's watching it with me, and he's like swearing at the TV too, and I'm like, this is so cool. And we're both like huge basketball fans, and Hayden Christensen, agent, was telling Sam like, this girl knows her sports. And he's like, let's see. And like, he was blown away. Like, I really did know, like, my sports and everything. Because I sleep listening to ESPN.
How about the other cast members next to Sam Jack? How was Natalie Portman like? Or did you guys get to?
My interactions with her were always great. Yeah. But, you know, I knew for her, I had to book 10 flights at once, when back then you could, until she could pick which one she could do.
What? Book 10 flights? Sorry, explain. How? What do you mean?
Because, you know, you have to hold them all until, you know, the agent and her confirm which one she wanted to take.
Whoa, really? Yeah. Nice.
But nowadays you can't do that.
Nowadays you can't.
You can't? Why not?
And then, actually...
Oh, because you can't cancel, you mean?
And actually, for most people who don't know this, the weekend where we picked the screen test for Anakin, that was actually run by the Filipinos on the ranch. That would be me, Alvin Lopez.
So it's your fault. Okay.
We ran the weekend. We did not pick anything. But we
ran the weekend.
The Filipinos just made sure it was nice.
Nice. Okay.
That was me, Alvin Lopez, Ryan Mendoza. Those are my boys. I'm giving a shout out to them.
Shout out to you guys.
What's up, Ryan? What's up, Alvin?
We were actually in charge of sneaking Natalie to the ranch. And also
sneaking? Why?
Because we didn't want anyone to know we were doing the screen test at the ranch.
Wait, but she wasn't hired yet. She wasn't in.
No, she was already hired. Because this is episode 2.
Okay. This is for episode 2.
And then we had to bring.
Hayden, my bad.
Yeah. So
we had to bring in
the new
three.
Anakin.
Yeah.
The Natalie Portman was already in the series.
Yep.
And then we had to sneak in the 3 finalists that were gonna potentially play Anakin.
Who were the other 2?
I can't say. Anyway,
look at that integrity. Ardees has integrity. She ain't gonna give it up.
My family knows. My friends know. If I'm working on something,
once I turn this off, I'll know.
They cannot ask me anything because I won't tell them. Like, you know, they'd be like, "Can you tell us anything about?"
But these are just like a little hint. These are names now. These are bigger
one of
names.
them's named. One of them's bigger big name.
They've been A-listers at one point in time.
I can't say.
Okay, I'll leave it alone. I'm sorry.
No comment.
Okay.
But yeah, it was like we had to like work that weekend. We couldn't tell anybody why we were working that weekend. And
wow.
Why won't you come home?
How about Ray Park? How was Ray Park?
Ray Park was awesome. I loved him. Him, Daniel Logan. I mean,
Daniel Logan was here like last year.
When I met Daniel Logan, I used to call him Baby Boba. He was a little boy.
Because he was Baby Boba.
Yeah, he was a little boy. And I actually have a signed thing from him when he was little.
Nice.
It was a signed Boba Fett. So I still have that. And that was on my desk for a long time.
He was here for Asia PopCon last year.
I mean, I've gotten to meet some of the most amazing people, talents.
Qui-Gon. How about Liam Neeson?
I never got to meet Liam. I saw Ewan on set, but I never really got to meet him. There were some other celebrities I've met. I can't say why.
Okay.
But you know, it's
Tell us about Natalie.
Yeah, thank you for putting it.
Beautiful, gorgeous girl, and at the time I knew her, very precocious, very smart. You know.
Very smart.
Yeah. When we went to, because we ran the screen test, because I ran the screen test
for episode 1.
For episode 2 for Hayden. I got to know Natalie. So when I went to the set on episode 2 and showed up on my first day, like I just went there for a vacation. I would set up the offices all over the world, but I didn't have to work. Technically, I didn't, but I ended up working. But Rick was like, "Why don't you come to Australia, have a vacation?" So I went there for 3 weeks during episode 2. Got to hang around set. So my first day showing up on set, when Natalie turned to see that I was there, she totally like smiled and ran up and gave me a big hug. So I always appreciated that.
Nice. I wish I. Hi, Natalie. Big hug.
Because this guy's infamous, or not, he's not infamous, but the character is infamous. Let's talk about Jar Jar Binks, Ahmed Best, because he's a cool dude.
Ahmed.
Can you, let's talk about the real person. And let's
please.
clear up, who...
Ahmed Best is one of the coolest dudes ever. The reason our casting director, Robin Gerland, found him was my first year at Lucasfilm. We had our first all-company meeting with all the Lucas companies. And what we didn't know, the surprise was that George had arranged for Stomp to perform a private show for us.
For those who don't know, Stomp was this amazing Broadway show of these amazing performers who just used their bodies and used things like brooms and trash cans to make music. And Ahmed was like one of the performers. Ahmed was one of the performers.
Yeah. So Ahmed, I've always loved. He's so awesome, and we're still friends today.
What did he play? What was he?
He was one of the dancers. He's a and musicians. He's a very talented musician, especially with percussion.
It's like master body artist.
Yeah.
The musician with his body.
And actually, years later, he showed up at the ranch and came to visit me, and he gave me a big hug. And like it's good people. Like we've all kept in touch.
Mm-hmm. Do you have Ahmed Best stories, bro?
No, not really. I don't know. But here's something. What cool Easter eggs would you talk about inside of the series? Like people don't realize that Ahmed Best, Brad Bird,
he gets a lot of hate.
Anthony Daniels were all in certain scenes in episode 2. But I mean, the fans know that. Is there anything else that you would share that people should know about, like
some cool stuff?
Episodes 1 through 3, because that's where you were so involved with. Anything?
Nothing. George's kids are throughout the movies, if you know it.
Actually, can you talk about that? Because one thing that you've told me is how, when episode 1 was made, George's youngest son was 5, so it was really directed for that audience.
Yes, that's one of the things people don't realize is that when episode 1 came out, Jet was really young, so
Jet is the youngest.
Jet was his youngest son. I mean, he has a new kid now, but he was a little boy. And so that movie is really geared for that audience. And I cannot tell you enough how many...
Makes a lot more sense about episode 1, right?
How many...
I like it for 5-year-olds.
No wonder. That was his headspace at the time.
I cannot tell you how many little kids would write to our office saying how they love episode 1 and that Jar Jar was their favorite. Because one of the things that as being in the producer's office, one of the coolest things, and I love Rick for this too, is we were super generous to the fans. Like, if a little kid like Jar Jar, we would send a whole care package of Jar Jar stuff.
Oh, nice.
Or R2 or C-3PO or whatever. Yeah, that was one of my favorite things, was trying to make the fans happy.
Yeah. Now, actually, I bring this up. You got to see, the movies before they came out multiple times, but you also got to be there with the fans in America who waited in line for like months.
Oh yeah, that was one of the trippiest things ever. Was like you said, I would see almost every rough cut. Can you imagine watching these films when they had no effects, no music, no sound?
I'd still love it.
Just green screen and storyboard replacements here and there. But when we opened at the Coronet, which is the last time I think we did,
For Star Wars fans from Northern California, the mention of the Coronet hurts our hearts.
Why?
That was the theater where you waited in line, like 6 blocks away for days.
The original premiered there. The original movies premiered there.
This was I remember you telling the story that's why it was called like a blockbuster because you
waited for blocks.
Blocks, right?
You waited for blocks.
And the Coronet was one of the old school, like it was the single theater house, really old school. It was like a historical thing. And
is it still up? Is it still there?
No, it's gone.
But
times change.
But it's where George opened all his films, right? So, before episode 1 came out, fans had been lining up for months, and we went there early because we had a cast and crew screening, because we would all, the employees and everyone would actually it was an employee screening. The employees got to see the movie before it came out.
How close to release date? Let's say
like a week or two before.
Not bad. That's not bad.
So.
But you've already seen rough cuts by this time.
Yeah, but so.
We felt
it's
special.
different.
She probably was just like, okay, I'm glad you got to see it too.
Yeah, but it's being with
I've
people.
I've seen this like 10 times.
Being with people who hadn't seen it before and just feeling that excitement. So anyway, I'm getting to the theater and the fans knew my name. I was like, wait.
How?
People I never knew met. And they're like, hi, Ardees. I'm like,
which movie was this? This was
episode 1.
For episode 1.
Yeah, but over the years, I actually got to know a lot of them and became good friends with them. But it was
because you're like the key to the kingdom.
Yeah, so it was.
Send me the Jar Jar stuff. I have gold. You know what I mean?
And I love this too about Rick. He would do appearances at like Celebration or whatever, and all of a sudden my phone would be, our office phone would be ringing off the hook.
Would you join him for Star Wars Celebration?
I don't know, because I was usually manning the office back home. And I would get these requests like, oh, Rick said at Celebration that you would get us a poster signed by George. And I'd be like, come here, did you promise this? Because who has to go to George and ask him to sign? It's me! I'm like, don't do that! I'm like, have to bring all these. I'm Rick said he signed these.
He really signs them himself.
He really signs them, so
nice.
Rick.
So y'all have real George Lucas signatures. Be happy. Ardees did that for you.
I'd have to go.
Because I would have imagined for someone like George, it's like, you, probably. Someone like George Lucas.
And Rick would sign too,
Nice.
I pile it up and go, hey, you have your fan stuff, you have to sign it. And we would try to do it as fast as we could, but we got so busy, so sometimes it would take us longer, but we usually tried to get it out.
Tell us a nice George story. Aside from the first initial hi.
George has always been nice and sweet to me, so, should I?
Yeah.
One of the coolest things is when I left Skywalker Ranch after 19 years. It was really sad because
I'm sure.
I have a volleyball team, and we played 3 days a week for years. And I was playing with Ben Bird.
Ben Bird, for those of you who don't know, that is the creator of the lightsaber sounds of R2-D2 and many other iconic sounds in the Star Wars universe. Amazing human being.
He was the original sound designer for the original movies, for Star Wars and Indiana Jones, Academy Award-winning sound designer. I would play with all these guys from Sky Sound. So for me, it was the hardest thing was I don't get to play volleyball every week. So one of the things.
Where do you guys have a?
We have a gym on the ranch.
Nice.
So we have an indoor volleyball court.
So at what point did you guys cross paths for an episode? That's all of a sudden they look each other.
You're talking about Ardees and myself?
Yeah, man. What the fuck do you think
I'm
talking about? Can I go there?
Ardees is my ex-wife.
Okay. That's how out there. We're looking at each other.
Oh, fucking A, I can't believe this is going out there.
Look at it. Looking for permission. I'm sorry. Do we cut this out or do we keep this in?
It's fine. I don't care.
We knew each other in high school. Oh, not high school. It was college. We met in college. I was actually taking a screama from him.
Filipino martial arts.
Yeah.
Screama, Ardees
Represent.
Yeah.
Connects people in special ways.
So
you guys went to the same school?
No.
Or no, you were.
You
were teaching.
I've been asked to teach by students at UC Berkeley to come bring Filipino martial arts to campus, and Ardees was just this badass who said, "Hey, I want to study this," and that fiery spirit that she has expressed inside of becoming the producer she is today. I got to see it, 26 years ago, the first time she picked up a weapon and studied Filipino martial arts.
Nice.
And she just took that focus and
So you got the moves from him.
Yeah.
A little bit of hesitation.
She also had, that's part of her spirit. An instructor only can give them choreography, but the students bring the being, and she always had the being.
Nice.
So good George story. So when I was leaving after 19 years, I had a scrapbook that I was having people sign, just anything they wanted to. And George had already sold Lucasfilm to Disney and had retired, and I'm really good friends with his assistant.
What happened to Rick, if you don't mind me asking? Because
let me finish.
Okay, sorry. Okay.
But he had retired and he wasn't really signing anything, but he actually did write me a personal note, and I'll always remember that.
Oh, nice.
And I have that, and the first page of that scrapbook. I'll always remember it.
Would you catch him during lunch or something?
No.
You're on the same floor.
No, he wasn't there, so I left it with his assistant.
No, back in the day, because you said that on the second floor, that's where his office.
Oh, every time I would see him, he'd always say hi. And actually, when the announcement went that he sold to Disney, I had already moved on to work with Brad.
So you were working at Disney at that point?
I was working at Disney I was working for Disney, but our offices were at Skywalker.
How was that transition?
It was fine because I was still at Skywalker. It was like, well, I'm still here with all my friends.
Not much changes.
Yeah, but now I'm like working with Brad Bird and learning a whole new process with working with the director. You know, it was great.
Brad Bird is
the director of Incredibles, Ratatouille, Iron Giant, Mission Impossible, Ghost Protocol. So, really awesome director.
Amazing movie.
And the voice of Edna in The Incredibles.
Yeah, Edna Mode.
That's him. That's his voice. That's him.
Really?
The character.
Yes.
Darling.
Yeah. and I worked with him on Tomorrowland. And so I actually bumped into George the day after the announcement at the
Did you guys know? Did you have an inkling that was going to happen?
You know what? Actually, a year before that, Rick and I had joked around that that we thought the company was going to be sold. And we were joking around that the only studio that could probably afford it was Disney. And we completely forgot about it until a year later when it happened.
Because a year before, they just acquired Marvel. They acquired Marvel first for 4 points.
But, we were busy with Red Tails at the time,
that was, I think, George's last big release, was it? Red Tails?
That was the World War II movie
about
the African American pilots in
the
Spitfire in the
European
European
Airmen. Awesome, amazing man that I got to meet a lot of them. And it was George's passion project because he had Red Tails even before I was hired. And I always had a file for Red Tails. And then with Rick, I knew after Red Tails, and not many people knew, but I knew he was going to move to Prague. Because his wife's
Who's going to move to Prague?
Rick.
Rick, okay.
Because his wife's from Prague and he has a little girl and they wanted her to go to school. So I knew he was leaving.
This was circa...
This was after Red Tails in 2010.
Okay.
So I was prepared for that. Me and him actually had talked about doing things together, producing stuff together. But that's around the time the market crashed. And so we had heavily figured out, like, let's try to put something together. Market crashed and we're having a hard time, like, getting financing for stuff. Why don't we come back to it later? So an opportunity came up where Brad was looking for somebody. A friend of mine asked me if I'd be interested because he's good friends with Brad Bird. And I said, sure, give him my name. And that's kind of where that happened.
What exactly?
Where I ended up working with Brad.
Oh,
my friend referred him.
So Ardees was Rick McCallum's personal assistant for episodes 2 and 3. And
no, I was not just his personal assistant. I want to get that clear. I was his assistant. Most people would say executive assistant, but my title was assistant because that meant I also did business and personal. When you say personal, that means they only do personal. I did more than that. One of the things people asked me when I moved with Brad and started working with Disney is they said, do you notice the difference going from the studio film to, working at an independent film company for over 16 years? And I said, yeah, they have a department for everything I used to do. Because our production office in the U.S. at any time was only about 3 or 4 people.
So it's a lot easier.
Yeah, it was a lot easier.
A lot easier. Right.
Yeah, but it was cool. It's like Rick knew early on in our relationship, he had asked me what I wanted to do. And I said, I want to produce. And he's like, you totally can do that. He goes, I'll teach you everything I know. And so he would always encourage any independent stuff I did. And he also made sure I was on every call and every meeting, so I was learning directly from him. And I'll never forget that. And I actually produced one of DJ Qbert's DVDs.
So DJ Qbert, for those who don't know, he is considered by many to be the top
turntablist.
Scratch turntablist in the world. Like, there's many specific techniques in terms of scratching that was developed by this Filipino-American DJ. But so here's what I want to ask you.
And he really pushed that the turntable is an instrument.
Yeah. So, Ardees, what I would want to ask you, because this is a show for geeks.
Yes.
What did, in terms of you becoming a producer, what were some of the gifts that you learned from Rick over the years?
To always be good to people from top to bottom. And remember them, and to, you know, just to be good. You know, there's no need to not be good to people. And he definitely taught me how, like, one of the things Rick drilled into my head is that the job of the producer is really to deliver a film on time and within budget. That's it.
And just the finished product, on time and on budget.
On time and on budget. And if you're not doing that, you're not a producer. There's so many people who take the producer title and they don't earn it. Sorry, I'm just saying, like, unless you're actively the person delivering a film on time and on budget, that's what makes you a producer. At least that's what I learned from Rick and George, completely old school. And also, one of the things Rick told me too was, no one ever sets out to make a bad movie.
That's beautiful.
Right?
I think that's the kind of, I don't want to go there, but I am. Because in the Philippines, you know.
Yeah, go there, man. Sonny,
I can't believe I'm going here, but it's
go,
like,
go.
You know, with the Manila Film Festival, you know, we recently had films that locally and internationally, people going like, thank goodness, we know there's amazing people in the Philippines, talented filmmakers who want to make amazing movies, and we got to see some of them. So we want to see more great movies. But, you know, getting a producer's perspective, like that's what you are right now, it's like, how do we get these great movies done on time and on budget?
And then one of the things that he saw inherently in me was my integrity. You know, and you have to have integrity and when you're in this business. I mean, and you can't compromise, because when you compromise, that's when your original vision doesn't come out to what you hope. And so that's when the movie that you thought was going to be this great movie turns out not so great, because you've had to compromise here or compromise there. And like, if you cannot do that and kind of stick to your values, you know, that's just the way to go. And one of the things he taught me as well, or I actually taught him, was he realized that I could get the same results, but by being sweet and nice to people.
Versus yelling at them.
Versus yelling at them.
Now, it's interesting because you're talking about integrity, you know, and so a lot of people think that's like keeping your word, but if you're making this huge project and things come up, the money gets cut or here or there, we're going to break our word here and then. So can you say a little bit more about integrity? Or?
Well, you know,
because people make mistakes.
One level is just being your word or being on time, but there's a whole other level of cleaning up when you aren't your word, you know? And
so when you break it.
When you break it. Like, just say, oh, I didn't do what I said I was going to do, and it's had an impact on everything. And also another level of integrity, too, is like being true to who you are. So if you're doing something that doesn't feel right, you're compromising the whole project, you know? And so that's kind of where, you know, it's tough in this business, but that's really, if you can hold on to that, that's like gold, you know?
Speaking of projects, which ones are you working on anything right now? What brings
that
you back
you can
here?
talk about?
Yeah, that you can talk about. Or like a little snippet.
Okay, so I'm here actually. I have my own media company with my business partner, Audrey Cabanisia. called Colorful Media.
Colorful Media. Is there a website people could visit?
At www.colorfulmedia.io. And we really, after being in the industry for 20 years, I just really want to do more for people of color and women. And that's, actually we both do. That's our mission.
He's also Filipino? Is he Filipino?
No, she's Peruvian and German. But she gets mistaken for Pinay a lot because she looks mestiza.
So, you resigned from Lucasfilm
to work with Brad on Tomorrowland, and when Tomorrowland wrapped, that was that's when I was like, hey, what's next for me? What's next for me? And the opportunity was with Audrey saying, hey, why don't you come over? Let's do this thing together because we've been wanting to work together for so long. I'm here in the Philippines right now, trying to set up post-production team here for the client side of the stuff we do. Can't really go into that. But
how about the stuff that you've done, like of late, like your most recent project?
I'm developing a few films right now. I have 2 features that I'm really focusing on this year. A lot, and I can honestly say the moment I said I was going to strike out on my own and do my own thing, we haven't solicited anything. All the projects have been coming to us from people who know either of us or both of us and want to work with us.
Nice.
And
you can't talk about these projects yet.
No, I can't. Okay. But I've reviewed over 100 scripts in the last year and a half.
Okay.
And I've had to pare it down.
These are Filipino?
No, everything.
So people want to work with you?
Yeah, so people want to work with us, and they specifically they've asked me to be producer, and it's kind of the interesting thing where I've had one of the films I'm doing that's going to be out of San Francisco. The director, before she even met with me, she said, I did my homework on you. And
scoped you out.
And she goes, everything that keeps coming up from everyone is your integrity. So that was kind of cool. I wasn't expecting, she was referred to me by a mutual friend, because I am still friends with a lot of the industry people I used to work with. Some people have their own companies, some are higher up in the studio system, and I still am in contact with Rick.
So are you still still based in the States?
I'm still based in the States, still based in the Bay Area.
So I want to shift gears again because this is for the fans, and so we're going to shift gears. People always know about what the directors are and what directors do, or at least they think they do, but when they give the Academy Award for Best Movie, they give it to the producer. So what is a producer? Educate the folks. Let them know what your world is and what you learned from Rick.
Okay, what I learned from Rick is that the director, in our case George Lucas, is the creative. It's his vision. And the role of the producer, which was Rick and our team, was to carry that vision through, to make it happen on time and within the budget that we were given. So the producer wears many hats. We deal with the cast, we deal with the crew, we do all the deals. Especially if you're indie, you have to raise the financing and deal with the financiers.
When you say raise the finance, so let's say you have an idea, you have a script that you've greenlit.
Yeah.
Who do you go to exactly for money?
That's something that over the last 20 years I've had to cultivate different relationships.
Yeah, and build
vet who's real and who's not real. And I've now gotten to this point where there's a couple sources that I know I can go to.
Not giving names, but citing examples like the owner of which company, or how extreme does it get?
No, usually you're trying to find either producers who only mainly deal with putting financing together, like EPs, or you're dealing with somebody who has a film fund, or that's what they do.
What's a film fund?
They're knowledgeable in film finance.
So it's interesting because in the Philippines and also in the United States, there's different meanings to what is a producer and what is executive producer. So from your experience in the state, can you say this is what a producer does and this is what an executive producer does?
Well, it's hard because there's not a real definition, but the way I was taught, the executive producer is a person who financed the film.
So
it was their money.
People.
Yeah.
They
in
either
our
paid
case,
it or they found it.
and yeah, in our case, George Lucas was the executive producer for Star Wars because he self-funded his films. He didn't take producer credit. The only producer that got credit on any of his stuff was Rick McCallum. Yeah. One guy, not 10 people that you see sometimes or 5. It was one person because he was held accountable for carrying out George's vision. So in my world, that's what an executive producer is usually the financier or brought something to the table, like whether it was like an A-list actor or brought distribution or something.
Also, producers also are in charge of putting the names in.
Yeah, but in America, the producer, like the capital P producer, is like a big deal. Like if you say you're producer,
I think isn't it the same here? Is it also?
Well, I've noticed here in the Philippines that there's, for people who are doing the work of a producer, they're often going for the title of executive producer. But there's also different things like line producer, that type of thing. So I don't want to get into the Philippine thing. I just wanted to hear from Ardees the American perspective that she experienced.
I mean, it's not so much like a widely held American perspective, but that's the way I was taught by these old school filmmakers. Was really like, if you're the producer, you're saying that you are the person that's going to deliver this film on time and on budget, which means you're in charge of every aspect of every part of this film.
So the buck stops with the producer.
Yeah. And one of the cool things that I was fortunate enough in my 20 plus career working in the industry is I had one of the few positions that would be on a project from development all the way through, you know, distribution, publicity, marketing. Like I saw every step of the way.
What was the, out of that whole process, which part of that arc is the best?
Production, when you're shooting.
Oh, production more than the release?
Yeah, for me it's production. That's where the magic is. That's what, you know, the cameras start rolling and you're on set and you're making things happen. I mean, I love post too because that's a whole other animal. And I've been through all the post production.
Especially since those were some of the most post intensive movies ever made to this day. Star Wars movies.
Yeah.
Definitely. Any fun stories on set? You mentioned that you were on set. Like, which set for you is like the most memorable or the best set that you've been on of all the Star Wars sets?
Probably when I saw Hayden in Darth Vader's costume.
Ooh, it was really him underneath that?
Yeah, it was really him. And just to see Darth Vader again on the screen after it's been so long, I just thought that was amazing. And actually, when I visited the set to episode 3, and I arrived into Sydney, I went straight from the airport to set.
That was shot in Sydney?
Yeah.
The last part.
Episodes
Fox
2
Studios.
and 3 were in Sydney.
Fox
Studios in Australia.
Back in the day when Fox owned them, no?
So I visited the set, and George saw me, said hi. They were filming Hayden, and it was the scene where he was in that capsule after he'd been burned. And when George yelled cut, he jumped up and he ran over to me, and I was like, am I supposed to touch you? Because your makeup looks really real. Because we referred to it as the crispy Anakin.
Anong gusto mo?
Crispy
Anakin na lang po.
Crispy.
And he totally gave me a big hug, and it was cool. But I was just like, whoa.
I remember his arms were cut. So was he wearing something like green screen on his arm at the time?
Yeah, it was like
green socks.
Green sock. So, wow, so that's the best one. Did you get to be on the Force Awakens set, or were you already with Brad Bird?
I was already with Brad Bird. Yeah.
Nice.
Now, I'm just looking at the time, but do you want to ask her, do we want to go talk about anything about Tomorrowland, or?
Yeah, go! Shoot!
Or, I mean, what do you want to share?
This is free-flowing, man. Never go.
What was the difference of working with a producer? What was the biggest difference between going from a producer to a director?
Well, with the producer...
See, you got the good questions, bro.
Because it's interesting stuff.
In terms of production, it was crazy and wild, and, you know, a lot of people don't know in the U.S., like I said, there was only about 3 or 4 of us in our U.S. office at any one time. So we were handling a lot.
Ooh.
And it was just so much stuff you're dealing. Like there were days where I was doing shipping and managing Rick's schedule and dealing with
shipping. Like what stuff was?
Like I was shipping all the costumes abroad, all the equipment abroad.
Did you ever take home anything from the sales?
No.
Integrity.
I never took home anything I wasn't given to take home.
Ooh, so you. What was the coolest thing you were allowed to take home?
I don't know if it's maybe some Wookiee hair. I don't know.
She got Wookiee hair at home. Dandruff hindi.
But with working with the director, it was awesome in that I got to see his process and how he really has this vision, creative vision, and basically I was managing everything around him so that he could direct and carry forward his vision, direct or write. And so it went from watching whole different sets of departments to really just watching one person.
Which one was harder? Who was harder to work for, Rick or Brad? Because Rick is a producer, so he's not really as hands-on as Brad would have been, right?
It's a little different in that Rick, what I loved about Rick is he knew what had to be done. And he would say, this needs to be done. But he didn't care how I did it, as long as I did it. Like, there was no micromanaging. He'd just say, hey, this needs to be. I came up with a lot of our processes, and he got so used to it, like he was expecting it, you know? And then with Brad, I had to figure out what he needed because he didn't even know he needed it. You know?
Women's intuition.
So, like, it's, you know, two different animals. But I do tell people that after working in production with Rick, anything after is like been cake. Because I used to do so much at once. Like, there were times, like, I literally, because of me, people started using the headsets, that wireless headsets, because my phone was ringing off them. I had 10 lines I was watching.
Ooh.
On top of everything else I was doing.
Dang.
So when they finally invented these wireless headsets, I was like, oh my god, this is so awesome. I can walk around the ranch and answer the phone and not be glued to my desk. And then George's office was like, where'd you get that? We want that, you know. So,
nice.
Yeah.
Sounds like a crazy roller coaster ride you've been on.
Yeah.
You'd say that, of course, now you're really pursuing something that's
My own.
your
Yeah.
own. Do you feel a little bit of a risk on your back? Or like pressure?
No, I mean, you kind of get it because your parents are like, what are you doing? But my parents actually are pretty supportive. And also they know, like, now is the time, after everything, all the work I've put in, that if I'm going to gamble, I might as well gamble on myself.
Yeah.
You know, because I know what I can do. I know what I'm capable of, and have so many other people believing in me. So, you know, that's just, you know, one of the things. My family, I come from a family of entrepreneurs. So, that I've been lucky and fortunate enough to learn from them. Yeah.
So any advice you would give to any potential producer or creator out there who wants to get into the
just
same
do what
thing?
you love. Everything else falls into place once you do what you love. You know, I always told people, and you can ask anyone I used to work with, that I would stop doing it if it wasn't fun anymore.
That's true.
Yeah, and maybe I stayed a little longer at Lucasfilm than I should have, but I
Because
think
it
it was
must have been
perfect.
fun.
I
I'm
had
sure.
the best time. Like, no
I'm
day
sure.
was ever the same. There was
I'm
always
still a bit
new
bothered that
challenges.
they don't have air conditioning in Lucas.
No, you know, we did. Sometimes it broke though. We did have.
You did have air conditioning?
Yeah, we did.
I didn't know that.
We did. Have
And you get fireplaces.
Yeah, we did have fireplaces and air conditioning.
Because I think it's colder longer than it's hot.
Yeah.
But it was an old system, so sometimes in the winter the aircon was on and we were freezing. So I was like putting stuff on top of it until they fixed it, you know?
Block the vents. Block the vents. What's in gas? Hindi aircon.
Electric fan.
Power me on.
Yeah, it's cool. It's cool. If you get
So, you're saying like for the, what about for any producers or directors out there here in the Philippines thinking about like, okay, I want to make stuff. Any advice for those folks?
which track they should take?
One of the things I would say is don't do it if you're doing for fame. Especially production, because production is one of the hardest jobs. You're there. Anyone who's in production will know. Especially the production office, and specifically talking to that. You're the first ones in, and you're the last ones out. And the only people who have longer hours than our office are the ADs, or the assistant directors.
Yeah.
Shout
out to the ADs. Basha, I know you're working hard tonight.
So don't do it if you don't love it, because you're gonna have to compromise on a lot of things, because it becomes your life, hence why I'm still single. Anyway, and don't do it for the fame. Like all that stuff, money, fame, and all that comes when you're truly passionate about what you're doing, and you truly love what you do. Also, network like crazy, because especially the film industry, I don't know how it is in the Philippines, but definitely in the U.S., it's not what you know, it's who you know.
As a Filipino director, potential director who wants to get contacts in the States, how would they go about that? How do you think? Like to catch your attention, let's say a director wants to.
Especially since today, I think an important thing for the Philippine market is people have been making movies in the Philippines for the Philippine market only. But we're now finally seeing after last year's, after the last Manila Film Festival, that we can actually make movies in the Philippines that other countries will want to see.
Yeah.
So, any advice for directors who want to make something that would actually go to an international audience?
I would say, like, don't limit.
Question.
I wouldn't limit yourself to just a certain audience, because a good story is a good story, and what I mean by that is, like, if you have something that has universal themes, like, anyone can relate to that, and so I wouldn't limit yourself to, like, just making films for Filipinos. I would, like, get the best story I can make and make it, and start to network, make friends with people. And I'm not joking when I told one of my younger cousins is at NYU Film School, and he was asking for advice before he went, and I told him, make friends, because in your film school, because those are the people you're going to be working with when you get out. And I go, and it doesn't hurt to make friends with the rich people, because they'll be the ones financing your films.
See, that was my question. When you're looking for financiers, how do you really find people who have money and want to spend? Where is that then? Or is it just connections?
It's just connections, and then people will start to connect you to people, and you can show, like, that you have talent, that you have ambition, and that you have followed through. Like, a lot of times, a lot of movies don't get made because people give up.
Yeah.
The movies that get made are the ones because they didn't give up. People didn't give up on it.
Yeah.
I
always love Forrest Gump, and the story about Forrest Gump was out there for 10 years before it actually went into production.
Was it?
It took 10 years for it to get into production.
Actually, Rick's lawyer had told me years ago, because Rick was like, if you need legal advice, call him. Because I had a story, and he told me the average film takes 10 years to make. And at the time, I laughed at him, like, yeah, sure.
The average film
takes 10 years to make.
Average film takes 10 years.
So that means there's movies that took 20 years to make.
Yeah.
Here in the Philippines, I think 10 months is a long time.
Well, but I mean, it's...
That from idea
all the way
from a script to actually getting turned into a movie.
Yeah.
And I think, because I'm going to get in trouble for saying this, but you can tell movies get just made over here. It's like, just push it out, get it out there.
That's what I'm saying, 3 months,
If it's a real craft, if it's a real craft, you really you believe in this story. Because I'm meeting writers over here in the Philippines who have these brilliant stories, but to get it made at the level that they're envisioning it, they need to know that it might take you 10 years to find the right partners, find the right financing for it to all come together so that idea can actually make it to the screen.
Yeah.
And that's what I'm hearing from you.
Yeah.
And I hope, those who want to make quality films in the Philippines get that. And I was thinking about Saving Sally, which just came out last year. That took them 10 years from idea
How was
to it
that?
actually.
Did you get to see that?
I saw it twice actually.
Wow,
And
that's awesome.
it's interesting because for me it's a different type of storytelling. It doesn't follow the 3 acts of American movies, but I really loved it, enjoyed it, and you can tell there's a lot of heart in it. And I'm looking forward to more movies like that coming
Was
out
it
of
Bangladesh
Philippines.
or like Pinoy?
Actually, it was weird. It was all English with only a
I
couple
remember
words,
seeing the trailer
only a
and
couple lines of in Tagalog. But I would hope that there's also great Tagalog or Visayan or Ilocano movies coming out in the future because our country deserves that.
Well, and also, there's so much talent in the Philippines and among Filipinos and Americans.
Any favorites?
Favorite artists
Or directors? Like
Directors.
when you say there's so much talent, you're thinking about blah names. Like
I'm more like thinking like artists that I know worked with, like Ed Natividad. I worked with him.
He's
on
a concept
Star Wars.
artist who worked on movies like
He worked
number
on
of the
Star
Batman
Wars.
movies, Star Wars, also
Nice.
the
Ed
Matrix
Natividad.
movies.
Yeah, and
He's a great
also-
artist in the States.
And like
that's
when
my dream.
when I
wanna
saw
work
Tron
for
Legacy, I
something
knew
like
Ed
that.
designed a lot of it, and sure enough, he did. He does a lot of stuff for Disney now. I love his work. Who else? Elric's godfather is Alex Nino, famous artist.
Alex Nino, you
Yeah.
remember?
Yeah.
you
He's
mentioned
been doing
it.
stuff for years. Also, our mutual friend Roel Robles, who did concept stuff for the Star Wars movies.
And
What was
worked
the
with
movie that-
Zemeckis at Image Movers for years. Roel's super talented.
Yeah.
I mean, there's
But also directors currently over like Eric Matthews working on By Bus now.
With Sunny Season.
Padre, with Sunny Season.
Shout out to you, boy.
Shout out, action
Matt
director.
Libatic is the DP that
Yeah.
he did a lot of the Marvel films.
Yeah.
Dean Devlin is a producer. He did
Dean Devlin from Independence Day.
Yeah.
Like for the directors, especially, or for the directors, for the writers, where do they? You don't have to write that down, bro.
I just wrote a note to him saying I'm going to the CR.
I love you, man. Remember how loose we keep this, man. He just wrote. Elrik just wrote on a paper saying CR.
So funny.
I love you, brother. Well, like for example, anyone, let's say, someone who's coming off college, or like maybe like us, you and I, who didn't really graduate from like film school or whatever, but then they're into it. Where do they start? What avenue do they
Just
explore?
start shooting.
Yeah, let's say they do have a product. So that's step one. Have a product. Let's say
Yeah.
they have this film. Where do they? What's the next step? How do they get eyes to see your eyes, specifically someone like you who's producing, or like a writer,
Like a writer?
to get your eyes on his script?
Usually, they're referred to me, or I know of them, or I've looked out for them. A lot of times too, like nowadays with social media, and
You as a producer, you look through Facebook.
yeah, we look through stuff. We do,
Mhm.
and YouTube. A lot of times, even the studios are doing it now.
Really? Like
yeah,
what
like
advice
they're seeing
on
like
people
what's,
to do?
you get better at your craft the more you do it. The more you write, you might think it's brilliant, and then you'll look at it years later and realize you could have fixed. I mean,
Mhm.
my cousin's a writer and a director in LA, and I've read every draft of everything he's ever written, and I've seen his growth. Like, you think it's good at first, but then there's a whole other level to it. Like, if you're going to be a writer, really learn how to write screenplays and really hone that craft and learn to take criticism, get into writing workshops, whatever. For directors, I would just say just start shooting stuff and just putting it out there because now you can. Like you can put it out.
Yeah, it's a lot easier.
On Facebook or on YouTube or anywhere, and
Vimeo,
and Vimeo, and because we do look at that stuff.
Any recent favorites that you've seen that blew your mind? It's like, this guy's got, like, call it. If I were to ask you who you think would be next, if you were to predict, like, anything you've seen recently that's like, hey, that guy's got promising talent.
Off the top of my head, I can't think. There's definitely things I see that come across. Well, I could say one of my directors, his name is Gary Lee. His stuff.
Gary Lee.
Yeah, his stuff's gonna be great in the movie because he did a short, and when I saw it, and he asked me to be a producer, I was like, sign me up. I can't really say because there's that intangible quality when you see somebody who's really worked at what they, but when you see it, you know.
Yeah, like that's what I want to know. Like, what is that? Like, how about you, Elrik?
Like, if there's no formula, it's just when you see it, you just not like if it resonates
it's like
with
star
people.
Quality. It's got star quality on it.
You'll know it resonates with people if it's being shared like crazy. It has so many likes and views. Because we didn't actually have that gauge before, and now we do.
That's true. That's
right?
a lot easier.
It's a different time today.
Yeah,
really. I mean, we have these blockbusters. Like I just watched yesterday, the most recent Justice League trailer got released.
Yeah. Amazing trailer.
But someone could be using their iPhone and use an iMovie that's on their phone and create something, put it on YouTube also, and that could go viral. So it's like,
or a podcast.
Get on your foot. Yeah, or a podcast that we're recording on little mics.
Yeah. Baby
mics. For me personally, if it makes me feel something, that grabs me. Like,
You can't name a video recently that you can recommend to our listeners to check out, like, because it's awesome or whatever.
I can't because it's not out yet. So.
Ooh.
There's certain
anything that's out that you've seen from someone you don't know that's impressed you.
Well, Elrik just showed me something yesterday. Was it called The Present?
I don't remember because we've been looking at a lot of stuff lately.
No, it was the one with the little boy who was given the dog. The animation.
Oh yeah, it was an animation.
Yeah,
Actually,
it
was a little while back. It was this animation.
I think it's
and
called The Present.
It was about this kid. This is a spoiler, so shut this off for next minute if you don't like spoilers.
What do they look for first?
It was this animation about this kid who gets a dog, and the dog is missing a leg, and then you find out later the kid is missing a leg. And the kid it's a meme about this kid, the guy who made it ended up working for Disney. But it's a great little video, and there's things out there. It's like,
where can they find this? What do they type?
I think it's called The Present.
Message me the title. I'll post it on.
Yeah, we'll put it on a link.
Or even sometimes some commercials that I'm seeing like really move you and grab you. Like if there's a whole narrative to it.
Yeah, look, recently I just saw, props out to all the people who worked on the Jollibee videos.
Oh, my cousin's working on that, baby.
Yeah, I mean,
shout out to Miguel, bitch.
Yeah, that was good. Also, I like the Globe commercials. If we're talking about local stuff, the Globe commercials with the 501st.
Yeah, definitely.
Where you had the one where everybody in the class was supporting that
something
one kid
like
who was wearing the stormtrooper mask.
Yeah.
So there's cool things coming out here in the Philippines that the point is it touches people and hits their heart, and obviously those things are so big that it's not just happening here in the Philippines. People are sharing it around the world.
Yeah.
It's not just the
especially that 501st
Filipino
one.
communities. It's going to other communities, so that's cool.
I saw this. We'll wrap up in a bit, but I'll share this one last one where this commercial. I forget what it's for. I think it's Malaysian, and it's the title is the bill has been paid. Have you seen that recently?
No, I don't.
Like something like the commercial starts off with like a kid stealing medicine for his mom, and then the shop goes after him, and then this guy comes up and pays for the medicine because he knew he was gonna give it to his mom. And long story short, fast forward like 30 years in the future, that guy gets sick, but then the bill's like so expensive, and then what happened was his doctor was that kid. That was like, that's the spoiler thing. He's like, oh, I'm like crying and shit because of that video. I'll tag that in also. Well, anyway, well, guys, thanks for spending this much time with us on on Tambay TV. Any last words from you, Ardees, before we go?
No,
Check your website.
what I would say is like always follow your dreams and don't give up and do what you love and love what you do. I mean, that's really all you can do. Like, you may have, your parents may want you to do something, your family may want you to do something, but you really have to stay true to you, because I've seen that the most happy and successful people that I know follow their passion, lead by following, basically. When you follow your passions, you actually become a leader because you're fulfilling on your dreams, and that inspires other people to do the same. And don't let anyone tell you you can't do it, you know? Just because I didn't see anyone like me in the industry, that didn't stop me from like seeking out people and going, hey, I want to do what you do. Can you help me? Can you mentor me? And that's, I think, a lot of times that Filipinos get too shy about, or kind of like, you know, they have hiya about, like they don't want to ask for help, or they don't want to ask for someone to mentor them. And really, especially in the entertainment industry, you have to put yourself out there and make those relationships.
Yeah. How about you, Elric? Any last words before we close this baby up?
You know, the world's just going to be a better place when people start going after their passions. I mean, life is hard, so why not make it hard but doing what you love? Because then it becomes actually easy. Because you're doing, you know, then you get this new reservoir of energy. So, you know, go after, be true to what your heart's calling you to do. You know, and the talent and the skill set, and I'll say it this way, the opportunities are going to start to rise here in the Philippines and in Asia, part of the Asian countries. People need to start looking outside of just the Philippines while we're still living here in the country. I got plenty of friends who are living in the Philippines, being able to do jobs, working on international
especially
projects.
with the internet, with this internet world that we live in. It's easy. We get raised like connected. We could tweet people, like anyone you want to talk to.
Yeah, you can work on international projects here in the Philippines, so do that.
Oh, and I want to give a shout out to one of my really cool friends. His name is Romeo Marquez Jr.
Romeo Marquez Jr. Shout out, what's up?
He just did a It's Time event here in the Philippines, and he's done it all over, and he's done TED Talks. And one of the things he had shared with me that Jack Canfield from the Chicken Soup books is his mentor.
Books.
His mentor said,
Chicken Soup for the Soul books.
Yes.
My favorite is the Teenage Soul. Reading that.
He told Romeo back in the day, like, Romeo, don't die with your music still in you. Like meaning, don't die with all your talents hidden, because you could be and I've seen this too. I've seen so many smart, talented, creative people, but they didn't go for it.
Yeah.
You know, because they're like the whole part of like, especially in this industry, you have to like really push yourself, really be brave and bold, and really like, you know, you have to go for your dreams, because no one's gonna do it for you. You know.
Yeah. Well, with that,
said another way, man. Risk being mayabang.
Let's believe in yourself.
Risk being mayabang. Try it.
I like that. Well, with that, we'll wrap this baby up. Thank you so much, Ardees, Elric. Man, this has been amazing.
Awesome hanging out with you.
Thanks, brother. Always, man. Thank you so
Great
much for taking this time out to inspire people. Because I've always, you know, when we started like a year ago, you and me, brother, it was like from ground zero, baby. I didn't know what the fuck I was doing. We were just hanging out. It was fun. I just knew that I wanted to have a podcast and to get you on, because I met you through BLG. Shout out to our folks at
Philippine
BLG.
Lights Saber Guild, also to Fight Saber Philippines. All of y'all, you guys are amazing. Thank you for giving me my geekness back.
And with that, we shall be wrapping this up and saying adios. Adios, Sarvik. Ardees.
Paalam na
Thank you.
ako!
Paalam. Adios. Bye-bye. Right?